All right.
Be a little more.
Yeah, sorry. He doesn't want to see me. All right.
So, I guess we can start off by introducing ourselves.
Sure.
So I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations for Pacific Records. My name is Chloe.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And I'm here in Trigano's place. He's our head of Pacific Records, but he sent me instead of him.
And I'm H.H. Heavens, executive assistant. Same idea. I'm here in his place.
Okay.
I know that our bosses have had their run-ins before, which is normal in this industry.
Correct,
So
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping, us here instead of them, we can keep the passions down.
Yeah.
Because I think we both agree that the most important thing here is to get this band together, recording, and get these albums, or at least an album out.
Yeah.
People are excited about it now, and I think if our bosses were here trying to do this for us, nothing would get done. So.
Yeah, a lot of other things would come into play, so I think I'm glad to hear that you're the one here as well.
Exactly. So, okay, so as far as I understand it, you have 3 of the members of the old Star Band under contract. We have 1 member. We've got Robin.
Yep.
And
that's a pretty recent contract,
yes,
correct? Okay.
correct. About 6 weeks ago,
Okay.
if I recall correctly. It's a couple years.
Okay.
But with 2 albums, whichever comes first.
Okay, so it's either.
Or I think they're like limitations, so at least 2 years, at least 2 albums.
Okay.
I don't know the exact scenario or circumstances for your deal with your your musicians.
Yeah.
But I would assume it's multi-year, multi-album as well, or.
Yeah. So ours is a 3-year, or so they each have contracts
Right.
that have 3 albums and 3 years remaining.
Okay.
And they're also exclusive contracts.
Gotcha.
And I think Robin's contract is also an exclusive one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's the conflict knowledge, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So I guess how important is it to you that that these albums come out on your record label versus we're getting royalties for say our label publishing the album and paying you guys a certain amount per album or a flat rate or whatever. What is one more important, or is it just an issue of cost, price?
So for us, we do have preferences that it would be on the Pacific Records label.
Okay.
And I think that our reasons for that are reasons that as long as we have those reasons satisfied,
Sure.
we would be willing to kind of work out some agreement where we wouldn't,
Sure.
if it could be on the Heaven Records label. However, ideally we want it on Pacific Records label. And some of the big issues for us are really effectively marketing the
Okay.
CD. We think that our marketing department and production departments are really good at this, and in order to ensure the success of the album, we think that we do a great job with that.
Sure.
And then also artistic control is another big area, and I'm guessing that it's probably another big thing for you.
Right.
So that isn't something, though, like I think, artistic control is something that could be it doesn't matter who's producing
Sure.
the CD, but I think for marketing, it's probably easier if we're the ones producing it.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and we're interested in different depending on who produces, we're interested in different structures for payment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on our end, the most important thing is HH really more than wants, pretty much demands artistic control.
Okay.
And I'm sure this is the sticking or pivot point here.
Yeah.
But he signed Robin under the hope of doing a project like this. He's
Okay.
very invested in Star.
Yeah.
And he is very invested in the artistic idea he has and direction for the band. Marketing obviously is important as well. However, if marketing is the primary goal for you guys, if you feel like you can do the best job getting this out there and increasing sales, that's something we can play with so long as we have artistic control. Now, it's also better for us, obviously, to put the album out on our label if we have artistic control, because they kind of go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something we could work with, where it could be on your label with our artistic control and HH getting the producer credit or however that works. And so if we can get to an agreement or at least some tentative agreement on how that sort of would operate, from that point I figure it's just a price issue and how much it's worth it to us for the artistic control and how much it's going to cost, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in the same boat.
Okay.
I think Trigano really, that the artistic control is more important than marketing.
Sure.
And maybe because I'm the VP of marketing, I put that first.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that due to the past, he thought that trying to work together
Yeah.
is not going to work.
Absolutely.
But it is really important to him as well. And we were thinking, actually, I mean, I don't know if this is too early to kind of come up with different ideas, but one of the things I've been thinking about was if there's a way, I don't know how many tracks are going to be on the CD originally, but if there was a way where we could have like two, kind of split up the CD, and one CD could have HH have total artistic control, and one we could have Trigano have total artistic control, or like some way, I don't know.
Do you know anything from the members of the band, like if they have like a concept that will work like that, where they can do like sort of 2 albums?
Yeah.
Do they want like a double album? I know that they've been talking about doing 2 albums over like an 18-month period, 12 to 18-month period. There's been some rumors that sort of that's the goal.
Okay.
Would it be possible to, instead of trying to split up a single album, try to have, although I like that idea, I like having different artistic direction, but maybe trying to do a 2-album deal instead of a 1-album deal, where HH produces one of them and you guys produce one of them.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, from what I've been told, HH wants artistic control on everything that comes out of here.
Yeah.
And but if we can get creative, I mean, at least it's an idea to try to split things either into 2 different albums or on 1 album. I hadn't thought of that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I actually hadn't known about the idea of
Sure.
having the 2 albums.
That was just something, because I know that Star, from what I've been told, is that's like their goal. I mean, you guys have your 3 for 3 albums. We have Robin for 2 albums. So no matter what, if we work out a deal where 1 album happens, then we're talking about 2 separate albums. Probably not going to be as effective for you guys to have the 3 release an album and us to have Robin release an album. But it'll be more effective for both of us if the great band of the past produces 2 albums.
We actually, so I hadn't known about that, and I only came up with the splitting idea because I didn't know if there were more than 1 potential CD in the works.
Sure.
So I actually think that it's probably better if there are 2 potential CDs, we could split it that way, just because I think you're right that like an album as a whole might be better together, so having total artistic control only over some songs might not be as effective as over all of them.
That makes sense. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, my marching orders are to not walk out of here unless the deal has full artistic control for HH. But
I'm pretty much in the same position.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Is there any amount of money that could buy these guys? They could still produce their albums, their 3 albums that they owe you guys on their own as the 3-member. I guess Sta would be, and then we would pay royalties for their use in 2 albums. Maybe we could like do something where I'm trying to think here, where we release an album with HH having artistic control, and on our label for the first album pay you guys like a flat or per album royalty, and then the next album that would come out would be like a solo album from your 3, and then like the next album would be another album. I'm just trying to like come up with an arrangement.
So I think that we're not like so the artistic control matters a lot to us, and because we have 3 of the group members, we actually feel like we're in a better position here to keep them on our label rather than giving up any of the rights we have to their recording.
Sure.
So I think that maybe there is some flex room generally, but we aren't willing to basically like sign them over for that, and we would rather produce it on our label.
Okay.
But if we did produce on your label, Obviously, the artistic control and marketing would have to be a part of it.
Sure.
But we do have a preference. Like we would prefer a flat rate rather than based on royalties.
Okay, so not a per album, but like a
Like a X amount.
like 500. I'm just
Yeah,
this isn't
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
$500,000 per album for one album, and then either we could renegotiate for like a follow-up album or set something now,
Yeah.
or like $1 million 2-album deal or something like that.
Right.
Well, what if?
What
okay.
about?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, but kind of from your perspective too, what if it was produced on Pacific Records? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of arrangement would be amenable to you?
I mean, we would be looking at, and it's sort of funny how this works. I'm gonna guess we would want probably the same sort of amount of money you guys would want for the
Okay.
3, even though we only have
Yeah.
1 member.
Yeah.
I understand your position that you guys have 3 out of the 4 members of the band, but to have star, you need all 4.
Right.
And so,
Right.
we only have the wheels to the car, but the car ain't going anywhere without those wheels. You have the engine and the shell and all that. If you were to produce the album, and I'm throwing this in there as a caveat, and we were to have artistic control,
Mhm.
we would be looking at trying to get, just short of $1 million for the first album for in royalties, or we could even talk about a $2 per album royalty or something like that. We could do a per album instead of
Okay.
if that works better, instead of a flat rate. We're confident that with HH's artistic vision,
Mhm.
that, and I mean, we respect your marketing ability.
Yeah.
Obviously, we think ours is better, but that's
Yeah.
that's the
It's
way.
not as important. Yeah.
Well, that's the way it's going to work. You're going to think yours is better. We're going to think ours is better. We know you guys can market an album, so
Mhm.
we're pretty confident this can sell. 500,000 albums. This first album could sell 500,000 albums, and if it's artistically strong, a second album could be produced that could probably sell more. So we're operating under that idea. So we're willing to take some risk, I guess, on a
Yeah.
per album basis.
Okay. And do you think so? To go back to like the 2-album
Sure.
concept, do you say that would be within like 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, I mean that's just it's a date I'm throwing out there. I mean,
Okay,
in a
yeah.
perfect world, it would be within 12 months. Would be
Okay.
an album releases
Yeah.
in January and then another one in October or something. Really
Okay.
ride the wave of
Their success.
Yeah, of the throwback, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
From all their great past hits like something.
Yeah. Wish I knew the.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell how passionate I am about this band. But I mean, we can talk about this in terms of just one record to see how that arrangement goes,
Mhm.
or we can talk about it in terms of a couple of records, so that we can kind of have a little bit of give and take
Yeah.
on how much people make and how much control people have. What if? Okay, so to throw out an actual.
Wait, before you
Okay,
throw out
sure.
an actual number, can we talk a little bit about some kind of contractual questions?
Sure.
Or can I just ask a little bit about? Okay.
Absolutely.
So you had mentioned that when you signed Robin,
Yes.
you kind of had in mind that Star was getting back together and.
Well, I mean,
What kind of- yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what
Yeah.
HH had in mind. I just know
Yeah.
that when Saren, recently has appeared to have been doing well in his rehab
Yep.
and whatnot, and there was the rumors about them getting together. That was something that HH was excited about. I don't know if that came
Okay.
about after we signed Robin or before.
Okay.
I know that I think that the initial plan when he was signed, as far as what I know,
Yeah.
was solo albums. So he would put out a couple of solo. I'm thinking David Gilmour. After he left
Mhm.
Pink Floyd, put out a bunch of very successful solo albums. And Roger Waters did the same thing. Gilmour had his 2 guys from Pink Floyd come with him. Waters did it on his own. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they both made a ton of money in solo.
Separately. Okay.
But if
yeah.
Pink Floyd would have put out one more album together, they'd have made a killing.
Right.
And
right.
so I think just the idea of being able to do this together was exciting. I don't know if it came before or after
Okay.
Robin was
Yeah.
signed. So
And then I guess do you have does Heaven Records have any kind of financial or time constraints in terms of producing
no,
these albums?
not as far as I know. I
Okay.
think. How about? Do you guys have any constraints? I think. I mean, we're big.
Yeah.
We're the
Yeah.
big labels, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because
Right.
I didn't know of anything on our end for
Sure.
need to produce it in terms of
Yeah.
financial reasons,
No.
but I just wanted to.
We're fine.
Second.
We're in
Okay.
the clear. We could produce. I mean, in a perfect world, I know they're in the studio right now starting to work on things.
Yeah.
So sooner's better for everyone.
Okay.
but-
Yeah, we totally agree with. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no constraints out
Okay.
there. So
Okay. Sorry.
No problem.
Sure doesn't. Okay, cool. Those are the
Okay.
kind of main questions. I just wanted to make
Sure.
sure. So you can.
okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think at this point maybe it's worth kind of. I think we both agree that we want to get an album made, and the
Yes,
tension here obviously is going to be, one of us is going to have to give up artistic control.
At least
in
in
some
some
extent,
way.
right.
Yeah.
I know that HH is stubborn as hell, and he doesn't want to. He wants full 100% artistic control on these albums, or at least on an album. I say albums; it's not from him. I think it's a good idea. I think
Yeah.
we have these guys under contract for at least a minimum of 2 albums. Let's
Right.
maximize our money together on this. But I'm operating under the assumption that whether it's produced on your album, or I'm sorry, your label or our label, that we have control. And so I think it might be worth putting together some packages with that sort of conception, and then you doing the same for if you guys have artistic control.
Okay.
So in a perfect world, if we had artistic control, you guys would still want to release it on your label, right?
Yeah.
That seems to
We
be
would still prefer that.
right. And I mean, obviously, we would prefer to just pay you a flat amount of money and release everything on ours.
Yeah.
But unless if we say one album $600,000, can you do that? Just to make it easy. I'm guessing.
Okay,
no.
so wait. So yeah, I mean, so if we're
We would have that. We would get
aside,
everything. Right.
If we're
Yeah.
setting that aside, the artistic control part,
Right.
then we have way more.
Sure.
We can talk about those numbers,
Sure.
and that would be okay. Or wait. So you would be paying.
So
Sorry,
okay,
the 600 would be.
so I guess the package deal would be we have artistic control.
Okay.
We release it on our label, so obviously you guys wouldn't want to market it.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, but
I mean,
assuming
we might still be.
right. Well, yeah, that's true. You might want to market it because we could do separate marketing campaigns. But
Right.
you guys,
we could both do it.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a flat rate, you probably wouldn't want to spend marketing money.
Right.
But if it was per album, then you
we
probably
would
would.
probably. Yeah.
But if we were we really want to release an album. We want artistic control. We want to release it on our label. How much money is there? An amount of money that would let us do that?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
And is there?
No.
It sounds like there isn't for you. Okay.
No. And I
Yeah,
wanted
I
to
mean-
get that clear on the table.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think if I go back and that is what
Sure.
I've come to, I think I will not be able to
Right.
do that.
And I mean, the truth
Yeah.
is, I think we have some stubborn bosses because I think it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter who has artistic control. We're gonna make a crap load of money if these guys
Right.
make an album.
And they're the artists still, so
Right.
they're going to have their own say in what's going on.
Exactly.
Too.
I mean, and that's the
So-
truth. In the end, whether HH stamps his name on it or you guys stamp your name on it,
Yeah.
it's going to be the same. I mean, it's going to be a success. Hopefully not possible,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
going to be a successful album. So, okay, so we can't just buy them for an album, basically,
Yeah.
is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I haven't talked with Trigano about multiple albums and how he would be willing to give up control in any
Sure.
way. But I think that if there's any way of us, I guess, reaching an agreement where we do have artistic control, where both of us have artistic control, then
Sure.
I think it would have to be something where there's at least one full album
Sure.
that we put out that we have complete
control
artistic.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, and this do not take
Yeah,
this as
yeah.
a threat, okay? Because I just want to be
Yeah,
clear.
yeah.
I know that HH would rather wait 3 years and prevent an album of these guys together from coming out than not have artistic control. He'd rather just say.
So he'd just rather walk away.
He,
from
he,
the-
yeah, I mean,
okay.
and that's not a good thing for us at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't appreciate that from HH. It's going to affect my bonus.
Yeah.
And it's not, but it's not good for the band. It's not good for any of us.
Yeah.
Which is why the kind of creative idea of trying to maybe split who produces what
Yeah.
songs. But I mean, he doesn't seem amenable to that idea. He seems like he wants full control, but he's willing to not have marketing control and not put it on his label, but have it on your label. It's just, I know he really wants. This is a personal thing for him, and it's
Yeah.
It's not about money. It's about, he
Who's
wants.
better at
That's all, and I'm sure it's the same for you
everything?
guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And which
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating. We've got these egos who are preventing, a deal from getting
Agreed,
done. But maybe we can figure something out. So what if instead of us just buying them in the clear,
Yeah.
what we agree to one album where we pay a certain amount of money, and we'll get to that in a second, where HH has artistic control, and you guys produce it on your album and control the marketing, but we would market too if you allowed us. Like, you'd have control. You could say no, we don't like this campaign or whatever. But we would obviously let you control the marketing, but we would invest in it too.
Okay. Yeah.
If we had a situation like that, how much money would you want to get these guys in the clear, either flat or per album?
So this is assuming that there are 2 albums.
So this is assuming a 1 album deal where we have full artistic control.
We just can't do that.
You can't do that at all. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if there is something,
even if it's on your label and you have all the other controls, just not artistic. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, there's nothing. If we have just 1 album,
sure,
just putting it out, we can't do it where we don't have artistic control.
Okay.
We can't give that up. I think that if there are multiple albums the other thing is also that so our contracts with the 3 members are for 3 years.
Right.
And yours is for 2.
3 and 3 albums, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ours
3,
is
yeah.
2 and 2. Yeah.
So I think that the time frame. I mean, the time frame for us is better because you have to wait longer to get to our members.
Sure.
But I think that if there are 2 albums or some combination like that,
right,
then whoever gets the first album of artistic control would have to give up. For example, if we had control of the first album, we would maybe be willing to let you produce it and then switch for the other one.
I got you.
Or something where it kind of helps balance it out, just based on who gets to do it first.
Well, okay, so what if, because I like your idea of splitting an album. I think it's a good idea. What if we try to come up with a 2 album deal?
Okay.
Where the first album is split, and you guys can produce it.
Okay.
You guys, if that's important to you guys, and you guys can control the marketing.
Okay.
We'll obviously throw whatever in there.
Yeah.
And then we would agree to a second album as well. Or I guess an agreement where we can use your guys and vice versa. A second album that would come out on our label.
Okay.
That would be produced by HH after the first album.
Okay, so only artistically. Okay.
Right, and then you have your guys for a 3rd album. We'll be trying to sign Robin for an additional 3rd at that point, try to go through this again. But you guys could then work that 3rd album. You can either try to get Robin in and have full control of the 3rd album, or we end up back here and do another similar deal for a 3rd album.
So I have a question about the 2 albums and 3 albums. Is that overall? So it means a star album is considered one of his albums, or is it individual?
I'm not.
Because I don't know.
Yeah, no,
so
I'm not
I wasn't
sure.
Thinking which way.
That's a really good question. I think I don't know, but my I hate to go by intuition here.
I mean, that's possible. I just am not.
Yeah. I mean,
sure what.
It's an exclusive 2 album, 2-year recording contract, right? So
yeah.
I guess.
3 albums.
I mean, I think that until I'm sure it would work the same for you.
Yeah.
Until 3 albums are made by you guys with those 3, you have your 3 guys in an exclusive deal.
Yeah, it's exclusive. Yeah.
So I don't know if for either of us, if let's say we put out 3 star albums together, maybe these guys are still under contract.
Yeah.
I think that's something we'd have to work out with them. And
it's totally something that can. It probably doesn't affect what we're doing.
Right, and but it might. I think because I'm sure I'm sure you don't want to get into a situation where, we still have Robin on the hook after 2 albums and of Star, and we're like, hey, you can make your own 3rd album, and then us keep him in our treasure chest and not let you guys have access to him because he hasn't had time to produce 2 solo albums. So maybe the best solution is to, as part of an agreement, to make it tentatively upon a renegotiation with your 3 and with Robin, to make these the albums that are make 2 star albums. So if we produce 2 star albums, Robin would be free and clear of our contract at that point. You guys could go after him and.
Okay. We would have still our 1 album left with the other 3.
I mean, that's something we can talk about doing. It'd probably make it more beneficial for you guys.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so I just wanted to clarify that.
That's a good point because I think the way the contracts are written now, I mean, I don't know this, but I would think because it's a solo contract.
Because it probably doesn't have to affect. I mean, if they're willing to do the star albums together, they're clearly willing to work with us for exclusive or non-exclusive.
I think the way it would work, and once again, I can't be 100% sure, but I think the
Right,
way it would
right.
work is if we produced 2 albums with all
Okay.
4 of them, then Robin would be done. His contract would be over.
Okay.
If you produced them, then we would still have Robin for 2 albums. Does that make sense?
Oh, I
So,
see. It depends on
depends on who
who the
produces
label.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting. Okay.
That's just my guess.
Yeah, that could make sense.
But so what if? Okay, so
Okay. Yeah. So go back to your.
but yeah,
thoughts.
so if we had a situation where we split the first album, as far as artistic control,
Okay.
which and
Which I know we're
Yeah.
both instructed not to do, but we could figure out
Right,
a way
and
where it's
and
separate.
I bet these guys we could be like, hey, come up with split your music into
Yeah.
to two halves. And I do see conflict coming between our bosses on but I want
Yeah.
this song. No, I want this song. But they could work that out.
Right. As long as they have like complete control over
Exactly.
this one half
Right.
and that one half.
Exactly. So like and maybe we would even take the risk, even though we're probably not supposed to do it, of if it's like a 13-song album, of you guys produce the first 6 songs on the album, we produce and artistically direct the second 6, and then they work together.
And we can see
On
if
the
we can
13th.
mend some fences.
Right, exactly. I mean, it might
Yeah.
work. I don't think it will, but it might.
Yeah.
But at least on this setting, what if let's just throw that out for this.
Okay,
right
so
now.
that's a possibility. Yep.
But if we did one album where it was split half and half on yeah,
For artistic control.
right,
Yeah.
and you guys produced it
Okay.
and paid us on a per album rate.
Okay, so would you prefer per album to upfront cash?
Not necessarily. It depends on
Okay.
how much upfront cash versus per album we're talking about. I mean,
Okay.
if you're talking, I'm like I said, I laid my cards out on the table. We think
Yeah.
you're talking about 500,000
Mhm.
records sold at $12 to $13 a record
Mhm.
for the first for one album.
Yeah.
The second is all speculative at that point. 'Cause it
Right.
depends on how the
Second,
first
we have no
works,
idea.
right?
Yeah.
But so on that idea, if we're looking at, if we're and just once again throwing out a number like $1 million, would be equal to $2 per album for us, obviously.
Right.
So
Right.
but if you guys are more comfortable, you guys don't want to throw out flat rate money because you don't know how it's going to perform.
Right.
Then we could take the $2 per album. Or if you guys think it's going to sell 1 million albums, then you should pay us $1 million and not, So,
yeah. So I think I
depends
think
on
we're
where
more
you guys are.
we would prefer to do a flat rate, but I
Okay.
think that's definitely an area where depending what the other parts are,
Right.
we would that could be something we could give up or you guys could give up.
Sure.
So yeah, we do prefer the flat rate.
So in this concept, because I can do like a split album, but then I have to be able to tell HH, but don't worry, you got another album coming after that you're going to have complete artistic control on.
So how about I don't know if this will fly with either of them. But what if we had that first album
Sure.
and instead of giving the artistic control like directly to HH or
Right.
directly to Trigano, we could I don't know if there's a way so the first album, if there's a way we could figure out what songs people like better, like which half
Sure.
is like artistically better.
Like iTunes single.
Yeah,
track
like which one
sales.
sells more.
Right.
Like if they were divided, you have to buy like one half or whatever.
Sure.
We could whoever like does better that way.
Make it like a competition. Huh?
Yeah, and then whoever's that way gets the next album. And then, I mean, I don't know, I think both of our bosses, though, are pretty
Right.
confident that they would do a better job.
Exactly.
And so, they might be more willing to take that. It's also a huge gamble because then I might be in huge trouble if we don't.
And the problem with that, it's a good idea. The problem is, I'm worried that whoever has marketing control will win that.
We'll get it. Yeah.
Right, because I just put those songs out on
That's
body
true.
commercials
That's actually
and
a
things
really
like
good
that.
point. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we could give it marketing control for that.
Sure. We'll split equally.
Yeah.
I just.
So yeah, I don't.
I mean, you think here.
I mean, because of as you said, because of the egos, I
Right.
think that anything that's going to make it look like HH is getting more artistic control is just not something I can
I see what you're
come
saying.
back with. Even if it's like,
Hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, I'll let you think for a minute.
Yeah, no, I see your point though.
Oh, and I had another thought.
Okay.
I don't really have information on the tour, but I know that they're
Right.
both starting a tour
Right.
and the album, and so maybe there's some way where we could split up like the control over the tour or the proceeds over the tour, that could also be
Right.
arranged. But I don't
I
know
mean,
if you have any info.
I don't have any info. on
Okay.
that, actually.
I don't either.
That's a piece we can sort of play with here is an incentive one way or another.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem still remains though that you know
Yeah.
HH wants an album entirely to himself, and he doesn't want to
Yeah.
give an album entirely to you guys.
Yeah.
And you guys want an album entirely to yourself, and you don't want to give an album entirely to us.
Yeah.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
The idea
I'm sure.
of splitting the first album is really good. Because I think even though neither of our bosses want that, they would accept it if they. HH
Yeah.
would accept it if he knew he could get another album that was entirely done by him. But you guys don't want that. What if?
I mean, I think that Trigano would probably just tell me, hey, we still have 3 of
Right.
these artists on our label. Like,
Yeah.
why are we giving him this next album when they have, 3 years left with us?
Exactly.
So,
And-
I don't, yeah.
I mean, the truth is, the only reason is we'd be buying it. I mean, that's the idea.
Right.
We're just,
Right.
and I mean, let's see. So what if, just for food for thought,
Okay.
what
Yeah,
if we did the first album, we split the artistic control based on number of songs,
Okay.
which is a dangerous proposition, but it's
But
better
we're
than
okay
nothing.
with that,
Right? Yeah. It's a good idea though. And you guys could have the marketing and put it on your label, and then pay us some amount, and then, but what you would be paying us would be way below what I'm asking for now. So I'm asking for $2 per album and $1 million
Right.
or $1 million. What if I changed that and was like, we want all we want from the proceeds from that record is half that. We will take $500,000 or $1 per album instead of $2 and $1 million. But then because of that, we get the second album, and then but we'll also agree to not prevent Robin. We won't. Trying to think of a way that we
Yeah.
won't try to get Robin exclusive to prevent you
Yeah.
guys from making a third follow-up album.
Yeah, I mean, I think
can't
that's
think
a
of
good,
one.
I think that's like a potential idea, but I think that we would still feel like we're giving up.
Sure.
So we don't have control over this whole album. And then, and Trigano is more confident in his artistic abilities than in HH's. So
Sure.
he would be expecting the sales to be higher if he were producing all of it.
Right.
Which even though it's less, like, it would still be like, well, yeah, half is going to.
Well, so it's out. So if the issue is that you're expecting to make more money if Trigano produces it than HH. Even if
I mean, that's part of it.
Okay.
It's not, but unfortunately, it's not.
because for
it's not
HH,
the only reason.
okay,
Yeah.
because for HH, it's not even that. Like, I mean, he would say the same thing. He just wants an album. He just wants to make an album with Star. It's like his lifelong dream is to get these 4 guys in a room producing one album that he can do artistic direction on the entire album for.
I mean, would he wait 3 years for that one or no?
I mean, here's the thing. He would, rather than let you guys do it. Does that make sense? Like, but
yeah.
it sucks for everybody because
Right.
let's be honest. I mean, I don't have any specific inside information. If you do, I'd love to hear it. But Saren's been good for a while now. He's been clean.
Yeah.
It takes one relapse for all this to fall apart. I mean,
Right. It's a lot riskier
Yeah.
waiting for 3 years.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
we're talking about 2 albums in 12 to 18 months, we can both manage these guys.
Yeah.
3 years for us or 2 years for you guys,
Yeah.
something could happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish our bosses weren't so stubborn in this.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm trying to think.
I mean, what if we? What if? Okay, I don't even know if I can do this, but I'll throw it out there at
Okay.
least to like, get some ideas going. What if we did a half and half artistic control album for the first album, and we didn't take a penny? You guys could have all the money for album 1, and then we could do our own album, and we would pay you a royalty on our album.
Unfortunately, it's still the same thing
Okay.
where it's like 1.5 to 1 to
Sure.
1/2. I mean, I definitely I see.
It's about
I
the
appreciate
control.
that you're trying to come up with
Yeah.
these options, but I don't know. Let me see what other.
I mean, because for us, it's not the money. Heffen really believes that he understands this band, and he wants to
Pacific
prove to the
All-Star.
public.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know if that's the issue with you guys, if that's Trigano's position too, is that it's more from the artist. I'm sure it is. If he thinks he can make more money, it's because he can produce it better.
Yeah, I mean, basically, he thinks that he understands Star better and really wants to demonstrate that the public, wants the public to see how he really
Right.
can, take their sound and really get out there and produce an awesome CD. I know. I'm sorry
No,
that.
it's okay. It's okay.
But
I mean, okay. Here's a crazy idea.
okay.
What if we got to talk to the boys, obviously.
Right.
What if we just said, we will produce 2 albums at once, meaning,
Just do.
but meaning like
Yeah.
they will sit in the studio until they've come up with 22 songs,
Yeah.
and our Trigano and Heffen will have draft rights basically.
Okay.
We'll call them serpentine draft rights, where
oh, where's the? Yeah.
so you guys can pick the first song.
Oh yeah.
And then we pick the next 2, and then you pick the next 2,
Yeah.
and we pick that way. You for being able to pick the best song out of the bunch,
Yeah.
we get the next 2, but then it
Yeah.
evens out after that, or you guys pick, or we get the first, and you guys get the
The
next
next
2.
two. Yeah.
But where we could forestall the release of a single album, but actually release the albums on the same day.
And
It'd
see
be
who does better.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. It's
Yeah.
almost crazy to think about doing
I mean,
something
I
like that,
kind
but
of think that is the only way that
yeah.
they'll be happy. And I don't know if Star is prepared to come up with. But even if it's like 20 songs total, I definitely have bought CDs or sold CDs that have less than 10 tracks on them.
I mean, and here's the thing.
So,
Your 3 they're in a 3-album commitment to you guys. Robin's in a 2-album commitment to us. He's already, as I hope, has an entire album's worth of music figured out when we signed him. And I'm sure your 3 have an entire album. And they're separate. They haven't been working together until very recently. I bet the volume is there. I mean,
yeah,
it's
and
something.
they have their history. Once they get together, I'm sure they're gonna also be really creative.
So what if? And I mean, we could up the ante here. We could put our money where our mouths are. You would get full artistic control of one album.
Yep.
And the production would be concurrent. The problem is we would have to agree on
We
a
don't
studio because we don't want them having to deal with 5 different
that's
producers and a bunch of different studio musicians. So, but we would basically agree. If they're working on these 5 songs, they're working on 3 for you and 2 for us. We would schedule what they're working on so that. What you don't want is them to do the first 12 songs that are our songs and then get burned out and then go to yours.
So try to do it
exactly.
all together. Yeah, that's
So
a good point.
We work on a mutually acceptable schedule, and I mean this would be kind of the marketing idea of this album is that they're releasing 2 albums.
Right. And
one a Geffen album, and people know what that means, and one a Trigano Pacific album, and they know what that means. And we make it a contest. Whoever ends up selling the most albums. Gets the next Star album. They get the artistic. They basically get the control. And but we'll split royalties some way.
And we can figure out because we'll definitely still have our 3 members on our label.
Right.
So we would still have to.
I mean, man, 2 albums.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but I also think that it's the only.
Yeah.
I think that is the only potential option that we can even go back to them with.
So I agree. Yeah. And I mean, and it's obviously something we can shake hands tentatively.
Right.
We have to check with our bosses. Right. And we got to check with them. But I mean, it would be we would agree. So I'm going to start notching stuff down. So we'd agree to concurrent release.
Yeah. And so would we? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Concurrent release of 2 albums. I think Guns N' Roses did that. So you did Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
Okay.
They produced both albums at the same time. They released them at different times.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of a band bands have released double albums. The only
or they even have just 2 CDs in the same album.
Yeah, exactly.
Is essentially a double. I mean, this is essentially just having their music.
I just in this case, are consumers going to be irritated because they're buying 2 albums?
Right. Is it going to affect sales by?
Yeah, because they think
cannibalizing our sales.
We can agree to maybe drop the cost of each album by $1 because they're getting more music. I mean, a double album costs $20.
Yeah.
Right? So basically we would say, what does a double album cost? We'll split that and we'll each charge the same amount.
Yeah.
So we would do concurrent release.
So we would be so like each label would be so we'd agree upon like making it as convenient for the band members as possible in terms of like recording and whatever other responsibilities they have.
We would use a neutral studio.
Yeah,
I think it's the best.
I think that's good.
We'll let the band basically pick, and I mean that isn't a Pacific or a Heffen studio.
Yeah.
Unless they want to use a Heffen studio and you guys are okay with it, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Because I mean.
I think it's really up to.
Yeah, the studio doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah.
But you guys would produce half. Yeah, so you guys would produce half the songs.
We
right.
Do the artistic, have artistic control over, and you would produce
full control over half of it. Yeah, exactly.
So would we not even split? Like, would we not even have to worry about?
Nope.
Okay.
It would just be. It would be we're giving you Robin for an album. You're giving us them for an album, and then do you want? Yeah. The question is because. The thing that I think can get this to work with our bosses is if we stroke their egos a little bit.
Yeah.
If we make it a competition.
I really think that's the only way.
Right. So whoever sells the most, we'll have to play with the specific contractual terms there because
like what metric is
exactly. Yeah. We got to make sure we're selling the same amount, and if you guys may decide to sell a bunch of albums in like Indonesia or something, and so maybe we just say U.S. sales or whatever. But we'll work on like the specifics of that. But whoever sells the most gets the next album in the free and clear, and the other whoever loses gets royalties, and we can figure that out now what the royalties amount.
Yeah, I mean I think we kind of want a little bit higher royalties because we have 3 band members.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I think in general that would be fine.
Sure.
Like I think it would be seeing we're both interested in making it fair.
Right.
And so seeing as it would be a fair contest, then we would be like, okay, you get artistic control, we get artistic control, whoever it is, and then it's just a question of, well, we have this contract expecting to make this money, so we just want like to be fairly compensated for the success of 3 of our.
Man.
Yeah.
I know. This is going to be in every industry rag out there. They're going to be so excited. Nobody's ever done this before, as far as I know. So
maybe that'll be actually a good thing.
Yeah, I think. I was going to say, I think this might actually work out better. Okay, so here's the deal as I envision.
Yeah.
So we would do a concurrent release of 2 albums.
Yeah.
We would split the songs early on in the game.
Doing like the snake draft or however.
Exactly. So we would So basically the only thing we would do is whoever gets the first song, the other company gets and we can flip a coin if we want to decide. Flip a coin. Whoever gets the first song, the other company gets the next 2, and then we just go back and forth from that point forward.
That sounds good. And we'll just make them have an even number. Like I'm sure it's fine to
even
number of songs.
Exactly. It's produced in the band has say in this. Either they can produce it in a neutral location, or they can split their schedule between your studio and our studio, which I'm guessing are both in downtown LA, and it doesn't really matter to them. So long as they're producing their songs in an equitable order, where they're working on 3 songs for you while they're working on 2 for us, and then they're working on 3 for us while they're working on 2 for you.
And we'll make sure, I guess, that those any of the costs associated with like the production part are split, however equally.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I figure the songs that we're working on for you, you'll pay for because you guys may want to spend more studio time. That may be your vision.
That's true.
Right. So we'll take care of our individual costs on producing those songs, and then for your album, you can market it as much as you want. Maybe we agree in this contract that we will not in any way denigrate your version.
Yeah,
and vice versa.
Make the same, for sure.
And we can play up the if we want, if we mutually choose to, we can play up the competition aspect. That 2 albums and let the people decide who's getting to produce the next one.
Who does the public actually?
Yeah, which
has better understanding?
Which sound of Star do you like better? And then the band gets to find out too. And frankly, these guys are probably drunk and stoned anyway. They don't care. But
not what's
right. Not Saren.
Yeah, not Saren. I hope as far as I know.
But I mean, the beauty here is if things break apart in the middle, then we're sitting on and they get 7 songs or 10 songs produced.
Yeah.
And neither of us can put out an album. We can come back here and come up with some way where we can put out an album at that point. Because then we have that 50-50 split, right? Then we've got some songs by us, some songs by you. And sure, maybe it's going to take 18 months to release 2 albums, whereas it would only take 6 months to produce 1 album or 12 months. But I think
it's better than 3 years.
Yeah.
2 years, yeah.
So the only question I guess that would remain is is, I guess, the loser compensation for the second album.
Yeah. So do we want to? I guess we probably want to have some sort of framework for
Yeah.
that. Okay.
So if you guys are producing the second album and getting, and we're talking about royalties, you said you'd rather pay a flat, or no, you'd rather.
We'd rather do a flat fee and not have it based on royalties.
What can you offer us? Because I can tell you on your end, we can offer, we can offer like $1 an album, or let's say the second album, or let's say we're talking about the albums, a second album, which would actually be a third album at this point.
Right.
Selling, let's just keep it in the same, because it's all speculative.
Okay.
Keep it in that same like 500,000 albums range. We would be talking about paying $500,000 in royalties or $1 per album.
So do you would
Although,
$500,000?
I see the. So what if we paid? Because you guys would want a flat fee. What if we paid $750,000? It's about as high as I can go for your 3.
Okay.
And then a flat rate. Flat rate of $750,000. Let me make sure I'm being authorized to do that. Yeah, I think we can do that. So
if we're producing it, then if you're producing it,
then we'll give you $750K.
Okay. We can do that.
And if if you're producing it, we would want $600K, because I know he's going to want more than $500,000, even though it's 3 to 1 here. It's still you're not really paying for the ability to have Robin.
Yeah.
You're paying for the ability to have Star, and vice versa. We're not paying for the ability to have your 3 guys. We're paying for the ability to have Star.
So I actually can't go that low for our end for the guaranteed payment, and
what
we would need a guaranteed payment of over $1 million.
You need
of like 1.5.
1.5 million.
Yeah, because but we could do.
I mean, because my worry, that makes sense if it's the second album coming out, because they've released 2 albums. I'm worried that there's not going to be as much. There's a risk that. What if we paid? Could we change it to a per album?
We could do per album, but it'd have to be like $1.50 or $2.
I can give you, and this is my max. I can give you $1.50.
$1.50 per album.
That's the most I can give.
Okay, we can do that. We can do $1.50. So for the one. So if you're sorry.
Yeah, no. So if we produce, right,
we get $1.50 per album.
Right.
Okay.
And then we would need. Let me double check here how much money we're talking about here.
But with the flat fee of what would work for you?
So, and then we would get So if we were working on the same 750 versus if we, I truly think it's fair to reciprocate and do the exact same thing on the other direction. Because like I said, you have 3 people, but it's what we're buying is Star, and what you're buying is Star.
So I definitely see that.
I understand,
the time. That is 3. We have 3 artists who are putting all their time into this album that you're getting, and that's taking away from our contract versus one artist.
Right, but it's still one album. It's still one album for your 3 or one album for our 1.
As you're saying with the Pink Floyd members, they on their own produce so much. So I don't think it's financially.
I think that's fair. I mean,
sensible for us.
It's just if we're talking so it's not it doesn't make sense. I get it to do $1.50
and
$1.50, but it can't be $1.50 and $1. It's got to be give me $1.10, and I can go there with I can keep my face with him and say we're getting something even if we lose here.
So would we do the flat fee, or are we?
And that's a per album. So on a flat fee, $1.10 would be $550,000.
Okay, and if they sell more than you anticipate, then it's just.
Then So I would rather do $1.10 than $550,000, because I like risk. But either of those we could do.
So I can only go up to $1 per album, but I can give you. I think we anticipate it being a higher, having higher sales, and so if
I got you.
If it goes, so I can either say it's $1 per album, or I can go a little higher than what you think the sales are going to be, but maybe not as, and do the 600,000 or something like that. Where you'd be guaranteed it, and maybe if it is a flop because it is technically the third one.
Right, exactly.
you'll still be in a good position.
Let's see. Okay, so you could do 600,000?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, then let's do that. I think
Okay.
because I'll tell you what, if you guys are producing an album, that means that HH lost.
Yeah.
He's just gonna be angry anyway.
Nothing's gonna make him happy.
Right. So at that point, I think it makes sense for everybody to do the 600,000. So I think we've got a deal here.
I think so too. Yeah.
It's gonna be. We may have to come back here and talk again because the
Right.
band members may say no way.
Right.
We want one album released.
Right.
We're not gonna do this shit. But I think if we work together,
I think
we
so
can
too.
convince them.
And I think that it's in everyone's best interest to like get it done as quick, like to not burn them out, but also to
Right.
produce it.
I mean, think of the marketing campaign. You've waited 15 years for an album. You get 2. Something.
Yeah,
It's there's something to be. It's just an interesting way to do business.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so
Okay. So do you want to?
yeah, we'll run through just to make sure we've got everything down. So
Okay.
concurrent release of 2 albums.
Yep.
Where we make sure that the scheduling is equitable on the
Yes.
songs they work with.
Yeah.
Song picking will be done in advance.
Yeah.
So we actually won't start producing anything until they've kind of written
Okay.
at least 20 songs, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
I think 10 songs per
I
album
think 10's
at minimum.
fine.
Yeah. Although I don't know, Star may have these.
Yeah.
They may be an album, a sort of band that has albums with 4 songs. I don't know, but
We're that good.
right, we'll do. But our guys will get to draft the songs,
Okay.
which I think
Yeah.
they're gonna love that.
Yeah.
And we'll pay for our own production costs. You pay for your own production
Yeah.
costs.
And we get to, because we're having control over all those decisions.
Exactly. You release your album on your label, we release ours on our label. We'll market separately, but we'll have some inclusion. Maybe we'll both commit X budget and we'll hire a neutral agency to do
Okay.
some marketing to market the idea that there are 2 albums coming out.
Yeah.
And then we
so
can do our
sometimes-
individual single album where we agree not to denigrate each other.
Right.
right
Where
way,
it's
yeah.
where it's just a positive campaign.
Right. And then and we'll have to flesh out the details, but whoever's album is higher in the charts, I guess. Is the best
Yeah,
way
higher
to
in the
do it.
charts or like grosses more profits
Right.
based on certain specific metrics.
Right.
For,
But whoever's album does better
yeah.
gets the next album. And,
Yeah.
and we've got the royalties set up for that, which would be $1.50 per album to you guys. And if we produce it, and is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, if you produce it, yeah.
And then 600,000 to you guys. Or
Yes,
to us,
if-
sorry. if you
Sorry,
produce it,
yeah, we will pay you 600,000
Cool.
flat. Okay.
I think we have
great.
a deal.
I think so
Awesome,
too.
thank you.
Pleasure.
All right, that wasn't bad. Wasn't
Yeah.
terrible.